Hello everybody, Aiden here, and welcome to another video on the Around the Slice Entertainment YouTube channel. Now that Spider-Man Brand New Day has officially released worldwide, which, by the way, if you haven't already, please go check out my full review and discussion for Spider-Man Brand New Day up on the channel right now from the other day. It was a ton of fun. It is and still was I should say rather, one of my number one most anticipated movie of 2026, hell of the last 5 years, mind you. So please go check out that. But today I'm here, very exciting list here. I'm here to give you my updated ranking of all four Tom Holland Spider-Man movies in the MCU. I love Tom Holland to death to this day, presently speaking, rather. So we're going to see how they stack up 4-1, for worst to best, whatever you want to term it as. We're going to get into all that. Before I present the list at hand for you guys, though, if you enjoy any of this type of content at all, please consider liking this video today and subscribing to the channel, as you always have a ton of fun and interesting coverage coming out around here on a weekly basis at this point in time. In just a couple of days, X-Men 97 Season 2 will be wrapping up with the 8th and final episode of Season 2. I'm going to do a holistic season review on here in subsequent X-Men discussions to come. And then later this month, I was going to say next month, today's August now. Later this month, in just a few weeks, we're going to be doing coverage on a weekly basis of a new DCU series in Lanterns that stars, of course, of Friday Night Lights fame, at least from I know him as personally, Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre, respectively. So please stick around for that and so much more. All right, guys, let me start with this. Let me preface things with this. I absolutely adore this franchise of the four Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. Personally, I can't get enough of it. I resonate with them so much. Are some better than others? A couple better than others? Of course, that's why we're stacking them up in this ranking today. But there's none that are just fine, in my opinion. Or, God forbid, bad. To me, they're all at least baseline, bottom line, whatever you want to call it, good at the end of the day. And speaking of good, I think this one is just good, but I don't think it's great to even awesome like the other few are, like the other three are, so to speak. That is Spider-Man, Far From Home. Someone had to be at the bottom. Let me get my positives out of the way. It still gives us that wholesome, innocent feel following up Homecoming, and the fact that Peter is in high school. Peter is going on a class trip. We see a lot of his classmates. We see a lot of his teachers. The quote-unquote vibes, environment, if you will, are still immaculate, are still high in that sense. Mysterio, Quentin Beck, real name, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. Number one, what a performance. Number two, what a character canonically within the MCU. Awesome stuff. Getting him on negatives, though, I talked about the vibes are still high with the whole high school experience of Peter and company and what have you, etc. The fact that it's not in New York City and it is so far away, so to speak, in this universe, in Europe, overseas, kind of bothers me, guys. I'm not going to lie. It really is to its detriment. So I think Spider-Man No Way Home really misses the mark with its setting, if you will, in that sense, rather. And then on rewatch, I don't think this holds up nearly as well as the other three do. I say that because in the first half, once you know what's coming, this is like the third time I've seen Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm sure you guys feel the same way. Once you know what's coming, the first half is not a slog to get through, but you're like, okay, when are we going to get to the Jake Gyllenhaal stuff? When are we going to get to the Quentin Beck / Mysterio stuff? Let's get this show on the road already, so to speak. If you know what's coming, which obviously this came out in 2019, we do at this point. It's not a slog to get through in that sense, but it's a little tedious is the right word I want to use here, because you know what's coming. You're like, when can we get to that reveal? Like, can we get to the Quentin Beck and Mysterio stuff already? Like, we don't have to sit here and go through all of Peter's life story and history. So yeah. At number 3, A lot of you guys have this at number one from what I've seen. Right now, though, initial viewing from just a few days ago, I'm feeling the new release of Spider-Man Brand New Day at number 3 in this overall rankings list, whatever you want to call it. From a holistic view, this gave me a lot of surprises that I wasn't expecting in more ways than one. Spoiler alert, I said this in my review. I'm saying it now. If you've already seen my review, great. If not, go back and see it. Spoiler alert, Sadie Sink, worst kept secret in the entire world for the last 5 months, is Jean Grey in her truest form. I say that because she played a major part in this movie. You could argue that this is just as much Jean Grey's movie as it is Peter Parker's movie. But speaking of Peter Parker, I like how grounded and personal it feels. Peter Parker is legitimately depressed. Peter Parker is legitimately lonely. By the end of the movie and film, rather, he learns how and when to accept people in his quote-unquote inner circle, so to speak. From that sense, I love how this is a true grand old time character study of Peter Parker as Spider-Man and everyone and everything around him. Now, big disappointment I have is the true, real lack of carryover. Again, this is just, in my opinion, of course, the true lack of true carryover, I should say, from Spider-Man No Way Home. Obviously, we've seen the Brand New Day. We've seen the movie by now, from a few days ago, rather. The spell wasn't reversed. If many others were thinking it would be reversed, fine, whatever. Wasn't reversed, don't give a shit, really. That's not my problem. Where my problem lies in is the fact there's no real connection or reconciliation going on between the core trio, of Peter, MJ, and Ned. Peter could have and honestly should have tried way harder to make the two remember him, but sadly, unfortunately, he just doesn't. And much to my dismay, the fact of he doesn't, he waits till the end of the movie. Should have done it way before, instead of waiting until the very end with the handshake with Ned. And another disappointment, this hates me to say, because Hulk is obviously an early major player, if you will, of the early stages of the MCU. And then Yelena is arguably the very best post-Endgame character that we've gotten in the entire MCU. But those two were just wasted. They didn't have to be there. They didn't really do anything of substance. If they're going to be there, make them do something of note. Make them do something of substance. They were just throwaway, meaningless add-ons. I hate to say that because I love both of them. I'm at the point where you have love Yelena to death. But a character on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you would, that I loved, Frank Castle, a.k.a. Punisher. Jesus, dude. I love this man now in the MCU. John Bernthal as an actor is literally the exact same character in everything that he's in these days. The Bear, The Odyssey, Spider-Man Brand New Day. But that's what makes him such a great actor. That's what makes him so captivating. He's a true scene stealer. As an actor and character, he's vengeful. He's hilarious and witty. And most importantly, he's high intensity and very calculated with his movements all at the same time. But he actually got deeper than I was expecting in this movie of Spider-Man Brand New Day. The life lessons he teaches Peter are unmatched in his witty banter with Peter. The Staten Island scene really stood out. That was hilarious to me. It was funny as hell. My theater laughed at that. There were a lot of times where my theater laughed. But biggest disappointment, I don't want to say I was disappointed by this movie. There were a couple aspects I was disappointed within it, but as an overall movie, I thought it was still a great continuation of hitting home what Peter Parker is dealing with in terms of being lonely and sad and disappointing. And it's almost depressing at multiple times throughout. And by the way, not nearly as emotional as No Way Home, which kind of irked me, but you can find out that in my full spoiler-filled review from the other day. But, yeah, this is just another great entry. That shows how powerful these movies truly are if a new release and Brand New Day is at number 3. Number 2, for me, these top 2 are perfect movies, no flaws whatsoever. Homecoming. Spider-Man Homecoming, runner-up, second best, number 2, if you will. Officially number 2, that is, rather. This is, to me, the quintessential pinnacle Spider-Man high school experience. This started it all for Tom Holland. This came out in 2017. Crazy to think 9 years ago in this canonically sprawling world of the MCU. This is the height of street level Marvel, if you ask me. The peak, if you will, of street level MCU. There's no multiverse crap. There's no world impending doom. There's no Avengers going on. There's no big ass cosmic being fight scenes taking place. It's just Peter dealing with a girl, dealing with a homecoming dance, dealing with the early stages of balancing romance, personal life, school life, and of course, obviously being Spider-Man, all wrapped into one. It takes place so it hits all the notes from that perspective. It takes place in a Spider-Man movie. It gives us some great high school elements, but it also gives us some very underrated initial web slinging and action scenes as well. In Vulture, I know people say he's a good villain, but I think he's a great to even phenomenal villain. I think he's arguably a top 5 to 8 villain in the entire MCU, and no one really talks about him that like they say, "Oh yeah, he's good. The reveal's great." No, this is legitimately, I know he's only this movie pretty much, but this is legitimately one of the very best villains that we have to date in the entire MCU. I know it was 9 years ago, guys, but let's be kind of rewind. We got to remember how great. And that reveal, when Vulture realizes that in the car with his daughter Liz in the back seat that Peter is Spider-Man, whoo! Full body chills. I've seen the movie 4 times now, and I still get chills every time that reveal comes, even though I'm more than expecting at this point, obviously. A lot of people say that the high school elements weigh this movie down. It's stupid. It's boring. Give us web slinging Spider-Man at its core. Are you kidding? Personally, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I couldn't disagree more. I think those elements make Peter feel human. It makes him feel wanted. Early stages, initial stages of being Spider-Man. It makes us feel as an audience a personal connection with him. It makes us feel very relatable and grounded and innocent. Again, end off with this. This is the peak of street level MCU, and I'm glad they took that, kept a lot of street level elements to this day with Brand New Day rather. But this is just a pinnacle of a Peter Parker high Spider-Man high school experience, if you ask me. And then number one, in a tier of by itself, even though Homecoming's perfect in its own way as well, Spider-Man No Way Home. The people are loud. The chorus is loud with this movie online and whatnot. People say, well, Aiden, it hasn't aged very well because it's just fan service and there's no real story going on. Okay, how is that bad? I'm a fan and I was serviced. What's wrong with that? And the fact that people say it doesn't have a story, I'm sorry for lack of a better term, that's just complete bullshit, because the emotional beats resonate to the core. That's why I'm saying Brand New Day should have been taken aspects of this movie, but it didn't. Talk about No Way Home. The Aunt May scene where she's literally dying in Peter's arms, basically, pretty much. I had to hold back tears. I was getting choked up. Like, she's just such a charismatic and caring character for Peter, a role model, clearly, and there she is in the middle of the movie dying in Peter's arms pretty much. And then the whole last sequence of 10 to 15 minutes from the point where MJ tells him I love him, and then I love you to Peter, and then Peter tells her, listen, you're going to forget who I am. I'll try to remedy it. Obviously, they didn't in Brand New Day. I'll try to remedy it going forward in the faraway future, rather, to the very end in the coffee shop. That broke me. You really feel for the dude. You really feel for the guy. Peter Parker is a broken man now. He's a broken kid now. It just hits home. And listen, I know this is blasphemy, considering how much of a nerd and pop culture geek I am, and my fandom roots run deep, so to speak. Don't yell at me. I've never seen a single one of the Tobey Maguire and or Spider-Man movies, or Tobey Maguire and or Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. I know, kind of BS bullshit, right? But I'm not dumb. I'm not an idiot. I understand that portal scene, when all three come together in a meaningful way, is rad as hell. It's cool as hell. Cool as fuck, if you will. the witty banter between all three of them, seeing all three of them specifically fight in meaningful different ways. I think No Way Home is a true love. Actually, I know that No Way Home is a true love letter to Spider-Man fans everywhere, and I think it was unrealistic to expect to beat this high. I will always have a soft spot, like not to get too like sentimental. I will always have a soft spot in my heart for Spider-Man No Way Home. It's because it's the very first movie that I saw, MCU movie that I saw in theaters. Like period. I got into the MCU in November of 2021. This came out pretty much exactly 1 month later in December of 2021. Right on Christmas, by the way. The Christmas vibes were high. Just my MCU fandom vibes were high getting into this universe. Nothing will beat that high. Nothing will ever beat that experience. That feeling I had walking out of the theater that night. Absolute chills. So No Way Home, yeah, it's great fan service, but it's aged wonderfully in my opinion. The critics say it's aged poorly because get the freak out of here. Are you kidding? It's aged wonderfully, whether it is the three Spider-Man coming together, whether it is the emotional storylines, whether it is seeing all the rogues gallery of Peter and such villains on screen. It's great. So anyways, guys, I'm pretty certain everyone will have Far From Home at the very bottom at number 4. But 1 through 3, while I wouldn't differ from my personal ranking, a lot of people have those flip-flopped in every which way. So speaking of that, please let me know down in the comments below. How would you rank these movies from 1 to 4, 4 to 1, best to worst, worst to best, however you want for an as down there. I'd love to interact with you, plus any other theories you have going forward, mainly about my video from my review from a couple of days ago. Please follow me on Twitter personally at AWeingartner13 for any additional thoughts, opinions, and discussions over there about pop culture, fandom, geeking out, anything you could think of, anything and everything you could think of in that TV show and movie realm, plus more. Thank you for the support as always. Tom Holland is my Spider-Man. I hold him dearly in my heart, and Tom Holland Zendaya, like, best comic book couple of all time. I think we're at that point now after Brand New Day. So yeah, let's see going forward. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for the support as always. Goodbye.